That's good.
Giggity, giggity, goo.
Take it 10 seconds.
So what's new?
We've been talking about long underwear. Do you have long underwear?
Well, I don't know if it's called long underwear, but we're certainly searching for another layer for sure. Yeah.
Drew Stoshine has got several buckets full of warm weather gear, cold weather gear. Sorry.
He's getting it together.
Do you have to talk to players about how to deal with this?
Yeah, you do, because one of the things that especially the skill guys that haven't played in it before, they typically miss the mark on either putting on too much stuff or too little. And what they need to do is find the happy medium, if you will, early in the week.
Have you talked to them about distractions and all the other things that go along with this?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there'll be a lot.
What do you have to say to them? What do you have to tell them?
Well, we'll go through point by point on what some of the distractions are, at least based on our coaches' experience that have been in the Grey Cup and during that week, and then the unique distractions that you will have playing a Grey Cup in Regina. So we'll discuss all that with them.
You've had a few hours to break down film and think about what happened yesterday. Any points of that game stick out to you as specifically great ones?
There were a lot. Yeah, there were a lot.
Nothing specific?
Well, I mean, the drive before the half, D-Webb's play in the end zone that could have put us down by 18. Coming out the second half and scoring right away, which helped us. The defense getting them off the field in the second half. Luka making all his field goals. I mean, there's just several. Hank's play in the second half was really unbelievable. I mean, just his desire to win was really fun to watch. And it wasn't just Hank, right? It was all the guys blocking, CJ's blocking and protecting the quarterback, the guys up front, just across the board. It was just a great effort by our guys.
Was that as good as you've seen Burris play? Yeah.
He was pretty good. Yeah, he was pretty good. It was fun to watch. Yeah, he made a lot of throws. He moved the sticks with his feet. At times when they only rushed 3, and just really decided he was going to do everything he could within his power to win the football game, along with the guys around him.
Argos are saying after the game, some of the guys in defense, that his ability to scramble really is a big factor.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you can move the sticks with your feet, especially when you're dropping 9 guys into coverage, I mean, it's difficult to find open receivers, right? So that was his experience taking over. I mean, he recognized those situations and pulled the ball down and was able to keep us on the football field, which kept their offense off the field.
Was there a play that you saw him do or something that happened that you figured, okay, now he's figured it out or he's locked in? Because he overthrew some guys early. I wondered if he was emotional or amped up.
Yeah, we had a couple of drops too now.
Yeah,
I mean, he had CJ for a touchdown, was a nice throw. He had Ellingson on the sideline, which was a nice throw. That was dropped. CJ dropped another under route, so sometimes you get those completions and you get in a rhythm quicker, right? So it's not all. I understand what you mean. It's not all on Henry. What I saw when we got the ball back before the end of the first half, and then we drove down the field, the way he was throwing the ball then, I could tell he was starting to figure out the defense and figure out what they were doing and distributing the football properly.
Is there any kind of sentimental or emotional feelings that you, now that you're heading back to Saskatchewan for this, knowing that you do have such a connection with that city and the Grey Cup?
Well, that's what it is, right? We have not just a connection to the city and the fans, but we have a lot of personal friends there. My family's going up early so they can see them all, and it's a community that has meant a lot to us, and we've got a lot of great memories there, as not just on the football side, but as a family. And so going back is outstanding. I know we're the enemy, this week, but that's okay. It's an environment that's great for the league and be a big challenge for our players. But it's going to be great to go back and see everybody.
You have an interesting relationship with Saskatchewan because, I mean, you were part of 2 Grey Cup championships, and they give you a lot of credit for that. They also feel
too much. Yeah.
They also feel that you tore their hearts out a couple times as well by leaving as a player and then leaving as a coach. I mean, how do you, going into that environment, how do you expect to be treated and welcomed, and how do you see your legacy there?
I guess the only way I would sum it up is, they gave a lot to me, an opportunity, to me as a player, and I feel like I gave a lot back as a player and as a coach. And sometimes things change, right? Circumstances change, and you get to different phases in your life for whatever reason. And all I've tried to do with my family is try to make the best choices possible, for the family. And it's not always going to be viewed positively by everybody. I understand that, and I get that. It doesn't change how I feel about that community and how I feel about that organization. I have nothing but utmost respect for them and very fond of them.
You understand that if you win this Grey Cup, you'll be accused of tearing their hearts out a third time, right? You okay with that?
But see, I'm not the one winning it, right? It's I think we make way too much of the coach's impact, right? It's about the players, and the players win football games, not coaches.
Do you take some responsibility for what's happened this year, though? Do you look at the coaching job you've done, given all you've been through, and take some satisfaction or some pride in that?
I take satisfaction with the job that my guys have done, that our guys have done, and what the players have done. Listen, I mean, it takes a lot of people, for things to go well, and a lot of people to do their job at a really high level. And the truth of the matter is that the head coach gets way too much credit. I can tell you they get way too much credit. If you want to give the credit where it's properly due, start with the players first, and then go to our assistant coaches, who are the ones that deserve it.
Can we give you a little bit of credit, like just a little bit? Is that
Well,
all right?
I mean, I have a part. But I have a part like everybody else does. But it's they don't get enough credit for what they've done with their group of guys and getting their players prepared to play. Guess what? I don't coach every room. I don't coach the receivers. I don't coach the running backs. I don't coach the O-linemen. The defense, the whole bit. I mean, it's a coaching staff that does that. So you need to give them the credit, because that's the truth.
Humility aside, you've been a busy guy since last night. I'm guessing you didn't have a lot of time to exactly enjoy the celebration heading into this week. What's the preparation like before you guys actually head out to Saskatchewan?
Well, our approach is the same, but it's going to get a little disjointed because we have to leave tomorrow. So we won't have a full day tomorrow. So we're kind of cramming it in today, tonight, and then early in the morning through the time that we'll have our team meetings and then individual meetings, and then get on the bus to go. So because once you get out there, it gets a little busier, right, and a little chaotic. So hopefully we'll have most of it in, most of our game plan in before we get to the airport tomorrow.
What challenges do you see in the Riders' camp?
Quite a few. They're a really good football team, and they're deserving of being where they're at. It's going to be a big challenge for us. They're very aggressive on defense. They're good up front. They have an outstanding running game, a veteran quarterback that makes plays, explosive players in the receiving core, and a pretty rowdy crowd.
When you're going up against a guy like Corey Sheets now, will it be devising things this week specifically for him, or how does that work?
Well, it's devising things to win in the run game, right? To take away the run game, or at least to limit and to mitigate the damage, right? As much as possible. So we have to have a strong plan against their running attack, but they'll throw the ball downfield too. They're strong in play action. Darian's got a lot of experience. He knows how to distribute the ball, and he has playmakers around him.
How many players do you bring to Regina?
I don't know what the final count is. Quite frankly, I should. But we're going to bring everybody that we can that will help us practice.
So you bring the 46 roster plus the
Oh yeah,
practice roster,
we'll bring more than 46. Yeah.
plus some guys off the practice roster as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You mentioned the unique atmosphere of Regina, and you know it well. What do you expect from those fans and from that city?
Well, I expect not to be able game time to hear us call plays or to even think on the sidelines. It's going to be really loud. They will come out in mass, not just for the game, but the whole week. So we really have to limit the distractions with our players and keep them focused. But it's going to be a great environment. It's going to be a real experience for our guys.
How does your team deal with that? I noticed that it was one of the hardest games for you this year was when you played in Saskatchewan before. And it was the biggest attendance that you faced this year. It was 37,000, I think, at that game. So what do you tell them?
Well, we were a different team back then, too. And we have some guys that were playing then that aren't even on our team right now. So we stay consistent with our messaging. in the things that we believe in, and that's to focus on what's under your control that directly impacts your performance. Focusing on things like crowd noise outside of handling the snap count, and any other way of focusing on that is nothing more than a distraction, and it's not pertinent to your preparation, right? And it's not pertinent to how you're going to play in the game. So we're gonna stay consistent with what we've focused on all year.
You've talked about keeping it the same. Like last week, we talked a lot about got to keep it the same. It's the same week of preparation. It's all the same. Messaging doesn't change. Can you do that during a Grey Cup week? Can you try and emphasize
It's a little more difficult, especially Thursday's the tough day, right? Because you have the media breakfast and then you have the awards at night, and so that's a really long day for the players. And plus, we're on the short end of the stick as far as practice schedule. We have the 2 practices in the morning of the 3 prep days, which is different for us. We only have 1 afternoon practice, so we have to tweak our schedule a little bit, which will be different for the players. That's some of the things we're going to talk about tomorrow.
How much will you lean on like Henry and a couple of guys that have been there before to kind of translate that to the young roster?
Well, they'll do that naturally, right? They'll talk to the guys and take our cues as a staff, and guys like myself and Orlando who have been there. But they'll communicate. The guys are close.
You got a coaching staff full of guys that have played
Yeah.
and won Grey Cups.
Yeah.
Is that helpful in this situation?
Very, very. They'll be able to relate in a real way to their group, right? On what they're going to face and what it's going to look like, and all of that, right? And again, continue to focus them in on what's important.
Can you give us an update on Greg White?
Don't know. Yeah, I haven't heard yet today. So I know she's still treating players right now, but that'll be later on this afternoon.
And will Brian Simmons and Delvin Breaux travel with you to Regina?
Right now, they're expected to, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else, guys? All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks.
Have a good chat.
Thanks.